What's up, Bulldogs? All right, today I am going to be talking about your 401k or retirement plan. Should you invest in it? The answer is not a clear yes or no. I'm not a big proponent of 401k, of retirement plans, and there's a lot of reasons for that. So stay tuned. I'm going to get into the scenarios here, and we're going to look at a particular situation here, and I'm going to give you some guidance that you can use to figure this out, especially if you're an entrepreneur starting a new business and you want to figure out if you should use that money, if you should be investing that money somewhere else, and you want to get on the fast lane. What's up, guys? I'm Sonmez from BulldogMindset.com. If you're just joining for the first time, you are in the right place to learn how to become a bulldog and take control of your life. In this particular video, we're going to be talking about a 401k and retirement plans in general. This email actually comes from someone who is in the Bulldog Mindset membership program who wanted to actually have me answer this on the live stream. I didn't end up answering it on the live stream because I didn't see the email in time, but I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second. But let's jump into the email here. So he says, hope this email finds you well. Unfortunately, I have a prior commitment during today's live stream, but I wanted to still sneak a question in there for it. So as we are now in tax season, my dad and I have been talking about my financial situation. He has more of a traditional or slow lane mindset and wants me to contribute a significant amount of money to my retirement fund. Currently, I am working a job while building my business on the side and could especially use the extra funds now to invest in myself and my company. How do I explain to him that I don't think it's a good idea to contribute to a retirement account, although that is what he has heard throughout his life? I'm not looking for approval from my dad, and I know that my financials are entirely in my control at the end of the day. But I love my dad and just want him to understand where I'm coming from, even if he doesn't embrace the fast lane mindset himself. And that, contrary to his thinking, I'm setting myself up for financial success in the future. Hope you got this message in time. Thank you for putting this on. Again, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, there will be a link for the Bulldog Mindset membership. I didn't announce it on the channel. It was only the people that were on the email list we're able to get in, and it is currently not open. But if you click the link below, if you're interested, basically the Bulldog Mindset membership is weekly premium videos that you don't see here that are much more in depth on things like building a business, on social skills, on fitness, on mindset in general. Really deep topics into there, stuff that I can't really share here on YouTube. And there's a monthly Q&A, we have a monthly book club, we have a private Facebook group, and a lot of really cool stuff that we're adding to all the time. But like I said, it's not open right now, but if you click the link, you can probably get on the waiting list. That's the only way to get in there. It's by invite only. A lot of people, you may be in a very similar situation, right, where essentially you're trying to figure out, okay, you're an entrepreneur, you're trying to start your business, you have a income from a regular job, and do you want to, should you invest in 401k? Should you be putting away the money for retirement? I'm going to give a plug for one of my favorite books here by MJ DeMarco. I actually had him on the channel. You can check out the video, you can find it, of my interview with him, but he sent me a nice little signed copy of this book. But Millionaire Fastlane, you should read this book for sure. I actually just opened up a 401k for the first time as an entrepreneur last year, okay, and I fully funded it. Now, this flies in the face of a lot of the advice that I've given you before. Why did I do this? Well, we're going to have to break down the exact situations and what makes sense or not, and I'm going to give you kind of the recommendation here. So before I get into why I did this, which I'll tell you in a minute, let's talk about, first of all, why you would want to have a 401k. What is the point of a retirement account? The big thing about a 401k or other tax-deferred retirement account is that it's tax-deferred. Okay, so the whole reason why you would ever even consider investing in 401k, there's basically two reasons. One of them is because you're going to get a huge tax benefit, especially if you're, and this tax benefit is worth more or less depending on how much taxes you're paying, so how much money you're making, what tax bracket you're in, right? So I'm in the top tax bracket for a lot of my income. If you're in the top tax bracket, it only means a certain portion of your income. you have an overall tax rate. Your effective tax rate is what you effectively paid as a percentage of all of your income. So if you're in the 30-something tax bracket, it's only after a certain amount. There's tables that show this, so people freak out and they don't understand this concept. So I figured I would explain that to you. Second one is matching programs from your employer, where they're going to match a certain percentage of the money that you contribute to the 401k. So it's bonus extra money. Okay. The downside of, let's say, a 401k, and I'm just going to use 401k, although some of these terms could be used interchangeably. But the downside of having a 401k is that you have to wait until you're at, quote, retirement age, which is what, 66 and a half, I believe. I'm not even sure of the exact number. But before you can withdraw that money, and if you don't, then you have to, if you do it early, except for certain conditions and whatnot, but the basic idea is that you'd have to pay taxes on that, plus you'd have to pay a 10% penalty on that. Traditionally, why I've been against the idea of the 401k has been because even though you're getting the tax benefit, okay, I can use my capital and my money to make more money than that benefit for the most part. Okay, by investing in real estate, I know I can make more money than I'll save, right? So let's say that I have $1,000 and I can either put it in the 401k or I can invest in myself. Well, if I have the $1,000 and I put it in the 401k, let's say that I'm at a 33% tax bracket. So by putting that money in the 401k, I save $330. I know that I can take that money, that $1,000, and I can invest that money, okay, and I can make a lot more than that savings. I do not want to count on, I'm not putting my eggs in the basket of 66 and a half years old, okay? By the time that I'm that fucking old, okay, I want to be wealthy. Like, the little bit of money that I'm saving and putting away for then, I have failed if I need that, if that makes a difference to me. I want to make so much money. I'm front loading all of my effort. Does that make sense? It's like a backup plan, right? So the more fuel that I have, the more money that I have to further my entrepreneurial endeavors, to make money now, to invest now, to make big returns, right? To build businesses and companies, to use that, the greater the chance of me becoming wealthy or rich, right? In the short term, and being very, very wealthy by the time I'm 66 and a half or 65 and a half, whatever it is. Whereas if I take some of that money away and I put that into the 401k, even though I'm getting a tax benefit and all that stuff, I am backloading. So it's basically like, it's hurting my chances of becoming rich now. Okay, I'm making a lot of money now, but it's giving me a safety net for later. Does that make sense? Like, I want you guys to understand the kind of core like choice that you're making when you're doing this, and why I've been basically opposed to 401ks. I'd rather pick one path. Either I'm going the safe route, I'm going to work the regular career, I'm not going to work a side business and do investments. I'm just going to put my money in the 401k, and I'm not going to even think about retiring until I'm 66, 65 and a half, whatever it is. Okay, whatever the retirement age is. Or I'm going to go all out as I'm young and an entrepreneur, and fucking I'm either going to make it or I'm going to be broke as shit when I'm 66 and a half when I retire. I don't care, okay? This is my plan. I don't want to split it in the middle and not have really done as good of a job contributing to my 401k as I could, and suffer then and suffer now because I have handicapped myself by not having the funds I need. I just told you I opened up a 401k. Why? Because what you have to really weigh, there's a couple of things you need to consider here. Actually, before I do, I want to tell you real quick, I do have a sponsor for this video. It is Hostinger. So if you are planning on starting up a website, go check them out. A really good company, really good, easy hosting. You can do a WordPress install like in minutes there. It's really, really cheap. You can save 15%. Here's just a WordPress site I set up at johnsonmez.com. Anyway, link is in there, but go check them out. I have opened up what is a self-managed or self-directed 401k program, right? A solo 401k. It took some convincing for me to talk to some people that are doing this in order for me to really be convinced of this. But with a self-managed, a self-directed solo 401k, whatever you want to call it, I created a bank account. I opened it up. I had to get, it's not easy to get all these documents together, but I had a company that drafted these for me. Okay. And I can invest that money however I want. So I put the money into the 401k, okay, and then I can go and I can invest that money in real estate or even in a business. I can buy a business. So I can do whatever I want investment wise. Now, the benefit of doing that, why this makes sense to me, okay, is because I can basically, because I have that level of control, I can take tax-free money, I can invest that, and then I can have those returns be tax-free within that account as well. And I know that I can make a lot of money doing that. And in fact, if I wanted to pull it out early, I could just pay the fee and pay the taxes on it, but I'm getting compounding interest on non-taxed interest, if that makes sense. It's compounding without taxes. We're outside of the 401k investments. I mean, yes, I can do a 1031 exchange on real estate and whatnot, but in my viewpoint, it balances it out. Okay, so it makes sense. I'm reducing my tax burden and possibly knocking myself down some tax brackets because I am in the highest tax bracket for a lot of my income. So as much as of that I can save, plus I'm paying California taxes, so I might be paying 40 to 50% tax rate on some of my income. So for that, it's pretty hard to beat that return, and I can make that return when it's a solo 401k where I'm managing it and I can do anything with what I want with it. I can even borrow against it, and so I can even utilize those funds, and I can use that to invest partially. I can use those funds, let's say I can combine them with my own personal funds to buy a really big property. So I can actually have access to those funds for the leverage potential of it. But you can see why in that circumstance, why I would choose to do that. It has nothing to do with retiring late. I don't need the money as well because I'm already technically retired, right? I already have enough passive income where I don't have to worry about this kind of stuff. So this is just makes sense in my case, okay? I could also make the argument to not do it. I'd rather not pay the taxes now. I could always choose to pay them later at any given time, but I can make money off of that money without paying taxes first, right? And I can easily overcome that penalty if I need to. So there's really, it makes it so that my funds are accessible to me in every way that I would need them to be, except for spending it on non-investment things, which I'm spending a large percentage of my income on investing anyway, right? So to me, this makes sense. How do you make this decision, right? So what do I tell this person in this email here, okay? In this particular case, he's working a job, he's got a side business, and he could use those funds to invest in himself. So let me tell you how you can kind of evaluate this and decide if this makes sense for you, okay? Especially as an entrepreneur. The very first thing that you should think about is which path that you want to go in life. If you are planning on becoming wealthy and independently wealthy and retired well before the retirement age, then putting money into the 401k is probably going to slow you down and reduce your chances of achieving that goal. The only exception to that is if you have, like I said, a solo 401k. But if you're really not making a huge amount of money and you can't maximally contribute and you don't have the skills to invest in real estate, then there's no point in having that at this point. I mean, you could still take that and invest it into an S&P 500 index or something like that, but the return isn't going to be, super great. And like I said, you are going to be handicapping yourself to some degree. The other thing that you need to consider is, again, the company matching, because it's free money, right? So what it really comes down to is, at the end of the day, okay, even if you decide that you're going to go the longer retirement route, okay, whichever one, or you're going to split the difference between the two, which is the road I don't recommend. How much are you actually getting? Right? So what is your tax bracket? The higher that your tax bracket is, the more that the 401k is valuable to you because it's worth more. Like I said, if I'm paying about 50% taxes at my highest tax bracket, and I can basically take some of that money and put it in the 401k, my solo 401k, so I'm not paying a 50% tax rate on that, that's worth half of that money, Okay, so in order for me to say no, I'd rather just invest the money myself outside of the 401k. I have to be able to do better than like a 50%, let's say 40 or 50% return. That's pretty hard to do. Okay, that's pretty difficult to do. So you want to know, basically, when you take your money, you should be able to figure out this calculation. If I take my money and put it in 401k, okay, as opposed to having it cash, what is the value that it is worth to me? How much money in taxes do I save? And then number two, how much money do I gain by the employer contribution? And when you figure out what that is, then the next thing to do is to say, okay, for the money that I saved with taxes, okay, and the money that I've gained from the employer contributions, okay, if I took that out and if I just had the cash, so I have either one of these, right? If I have the money in the 401k, will I have a higher yield? You know, what is the yield that I can get on this money versus if I just had that money in my hand and I paid the taxes, right? So again, if you, let's say you had a 33% tax bracket, if you put $1,000 in 401k, so the question is, would you rather have $1,000 in the 401k that is getting, I don't know what your return, maybe you're going to count on like a 6 or 7% return, or would you rather have $777 and that you could get, maybe if you could do real estate investment, maybe you're buying rehab houses and stuff and you know that you get a 20% return on that money. Okay, would you rather have that? That's the real question. That's how you decide this. And then to answer the final question from the email here, you know, how do you tell your dad about this and explain this? Well, like I said, first of all, it's not that cut and dry. You should run these calculations. I'm not 100% going to say that you shouldn't invest in the 401k. I will say I would never open a 401k account being an entrepreneur without it being self-directed, like a solo 401k, or being able to move it into one when I quit my job. And I think you could do that anyway, because you could do a rollover. But that would be the plan. And if I needed the capital for the business, right? I mean, I would say this. This is the simplest way that I would explain it to your dad, is I would basically say, look, here's the thing. In fact, you should just give him this book. That would work, right? But I would say, look, here's the thing. I basically I want to set myself up right now to succeed as much as possible now. I want to give myself I'm putting all my eggs in the basket of being successful when I'm young. So I want to give myself every opportunity to do that. I don't want to put any of the eggs in the basket of the retiring old. At that point, I don't care. If I have to live off of Social Security and peanuts at that point, I'm fine. I'm all right. I'm willing to accept that possible fate for the chance of doing really well now, and I don't want to handicap myself in any way from doing that. So I'm maximizing that option, and that's why I'm doing this. That's all I got for you. If you haven't already, click that subscribe button. Let me know if this doesn't make sense. I know this is kind of a complex topic, something to think about. You might want to get some spreadsheets and really calculate these numbers, crunch these numbers, and see, you know, to figure this stuff out. It's worth doing it. You should be able to understand this kind of stuff. Yeah, let me know if there's something you disagree with. Leave a comment below. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.